In Ireland, the gods have palaces. Granted, they're underground. These structures are called Sidhe, a term that can refer both to Irish fairy mounds and to the Irish fairies who inhabit them. But wait a minute, I thought these hallowed and hollow subterranean halls belonged to the gods. Well, they do. Or they did. Depends on your perspective. Archaeologically, many of Ireland's megalithic monuments were built in the New Stone Age, the Neolithic. Historically, Iron Age Gaelic/Goidelic Celtic speakers reimagined those monuments as the abodes of their gods. Mythologically, the Milesians, who are the last of 6 mythical races to settle in Ireland, defeat the Irish gods, the Tuatha Dé Danann. And on condition of their surrender, Ireland's divine tribe retreats underground, with each remaining member of the Tuatha Dé Danann receiving a Sidhe, or earthen mound. The sea god and otherworldly ruler Manannán mac Lir is in charge of the Sidhe assignments. He's also in charge of raising a magical veil or mist, the Fé Fiada, to keep these divine dens hidden from prying human eyes. His job complete, Manannán pieces out across the sea for the otherworld Awen, Aulach, Awen of the Apples, which is sometimes identified as the god's namesake island, the Isle of Man. As for the other Irish gods, let's look at the map. The Dagda, the Irish Allfather and current king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, gets Brún na Bóinne, or the Palace of the Boyne. It's a complex in County Meath that includes the massive Sidhe in Brugga, more commonly known as the Newgrange Monument. Oh, but here comes the Dagda's son, the love god Angus Og. Angus's mother is Duinn, namesake goddess of the River Boyne, and the wife of Elkmar, the Sidhe's former occupant. It's a whole thing. Anyway, Angus is known to be a cunning linguist, and sure enough, he uses a tongue twister to trick his dad out of the primo Sidhe. Bovderrig, one of the Dagda's other sons, and the heir to the Tuatha Dé Danann throne, gets the appropriately named Sidhe Bov, which is on Loch Derrig, south of Portumna in County Galway. However, it should be noted that Bovderrig is also associated with Sidhe Arfemin, a site we know today as Slieve Amin in County Tipperary. Midr the Proud, who is central to the story The Wooing of 18, and who is sometimes a son of the Dagda, lives at Brí Lech, now called Ardagh Mountain in County Longford. Granted, another source places Midr in County Tipperary at Sidhe Drim, which today is the site of the Carrick Fodrig, St. Patrick's Rock, otherwise known as the Rock of Cashel. Ogma, Irish god of eloquence, inventor of Ogham script, and the occasional brother of the Dagda, gets Sidhe Erciltre, which, look, nobody really knows where Sidhe Erciltre is, but Dara Smith's best guess is a, quote, since despoiled mound near Downpatrick in County Down, so we'll go with that. Lugh, the Irish god of many talents and chief hero of the Second Battle of Ma Tuired, which was fought against the Fomorians, gets Rodrabán. I'm choosing to link Rodrabán with Sidhe Lugh, or Sidhe Louis in County Sligo, given both its name and its proximity to the plain of Tuired, the famed battle site. That being said, Lugh is also associated with Knock na Tara, the Hill of Tara in County Meath, and even has a promontory fort named for him there, Ra Lugh. And if we're talking about the Hill of Tara, we also have to talk about Knock Uisne, the Hill of Uisne in County Westmeath. The two hills were connected by an ancient road, the Slia Asel. The Dagda is said to have a residence at the Hill of Uisne. Lugh is said to have drowned in a small lake on the hill, which is now known as Loch Lugh, and was then buried nearby. But for my money, the Hill of Uisne really belongs to the Tuatha Dé Danann sovereignty goddess, Eru. When the Milesians meet and negotiate with Eru, they come to Uisne, and as a result of that meeting, Ireland gets its name. Era. Eru is said to be buried beneath Uisne's El na Mirin, the Stone of the Divisions, which marks the exact center of Ireland. Or so the story goes. And speaking of stories about stones, it's theorized that the Hill of Uisne may be synonymous with Mount Killarross, which in Arthurian legend is the original site of Stonehenge, before Merlin steals it. But I digress. Manannán's alleged father Lir, of the Children of Lir fame, dwells in Sidhe Finnachid, meaning Hill of the Fair Field or Hill of the White Fields. Alternate etymology, hill overgrown with grass or shrub. Based on the medieval Irish texts, this is somewhere in County Armagh's Fuse Mountains, potentially Deadman's Hill, or its neighbor Carrigatúg, aka Armabrug Mountain. The ancient name for the area is Slieve Fuad, or Fuad's Mountain, named in honor of a Milesian chieftain, although there seems to be some confusion over whether that term applies to the whole range or just to its tallest peak. What I can tell you for sure about Sidhe Finnachid is that the Dagda's son Finvar, or Fin Finvara, whose name means fair hilltop, does not live there. He's given the, quote, bare-topped Shi Meda, or Mia. This spot, located a few miles west of Tuam in County Galway, is better known today as Knock Mia, Maeve's Hill, or Knockma. Whatever you do, please don't get Finvara's Shi Mia and Lear's Shi Finnakid confused with Fagertak's Shi Finnebrach. Why would you do such a thing? It took me a while to crack this one, but I can say somewhat confidently that Shi Finnebrach is likely the same site as Achat Finnebrach, or the Field of Finnebrach, which was renamed Creve Grelon, the branch of Grelin, in honor of Saint Grelin, who is said to have baptized the King of Connacht's stillborn baby back to life. Well, as a reward, the king gave Saint Grelin land to build a church in what are now counties Galway and Roscommon, and Saint Patrick gave him a stick. Manannán's son Ilbrech is allotted Shi as Éarua, which is named for a king who drowns in a waterfall near what is now Ballyshannon, County Donegal. As is the word for waterfall in Irish, which means calling it Asaro Falls, the English name is silly and redundant. Like me. Sadly, the waterfall no longer exists. Damn. And neither does the Shi, which was thought by some to correspond to the mound of Mullagnashi, also redundant, now the site of St. Anne's Church of Ireland. A quick aside. After the waterfall's namesake king, Éarua MacBodern, drowns, his daughter Machamong Rua becomes the first and only queen to serve as High King of Ireland, and a royal residence is built for her in County Armagh. Now known as Navan Fort, Awan Macha serves as the home base for some of Irish mythology's greatest heroes and kings, including the Red Branch warrior Cuchulainn and the Ulster king Cruthar Magnessa. No, it's not technically a Shi or a divine residence, although I guess Cuchulainn is a demigod. Good enough for me, put it on the map. And if we're going to include Awan Macha, I think it's only fair we give County Kildare's Knock Alunya, or Hill of Allen, its due. Formed by an ancient volcano and formerly known as the Knock Almanya, or Hill of Almu, the hill is the fortified headquarters of Fionn Mac Cool, or Finn MacCool, famed hunter and warrior of the Fianna. And I'd be remiss not to mention that Fionn could be a descendant of the Tuatha Dé Danann by way of his maternal grandfather Taig, more on him later, so that's how I'm going to further justify the inclusion of Knock Almenya. Speaking of famous knocks, Manannán's foster son Ogabal has two daughters, Anya and Grian, both of whom are associated with the sun. Grian is the Irish word for sun, and both of whom are connected to famous Irish knocks, or hills. The former goddess has her headquarters at Knock Anya, the Hill of Anya, now known as Knockany in County Limerick. The latter has her headquarters in the same county just 7 miles away at Knock Grenya, the Hill of Grian, or Hill of the Sun, now known as Knockgreen. And while we're on this Limerick knock kick, there's also Knockfarina, an underground castle, or so it's been called, which belongs to the Tuatha Dé Danann chieftain Donfarina. The, quote, amiable Shimul, meanwhile, lives at Shi Nianta, now known as Tornant Moat. It's a ring fort / barrow complex in County Wicklow that gets its name from the Middle Irish words for rocky peak or tower, tor, and nettle. Nianta. Taig, son of Nuada of the Silver Hand, or some other Nuada, gets the Shi of Drim, Dia, which means something like Ridge of the Gods or Ridge of Good, and in either case is probably a reference to the Hill of Tara in County Meath. This is bolstered by a Nuada of the Silver Hand parentage, as Nuada is a former High King of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and Tara is his royal seat. So Taig would be like the prince who never moved out of the castle. No, not that Auertak. The son of Ilithar is given Shi Bui, which is dubbed of the Fair Summit. Bui means yellow, so it's likely this Fair Summit corresponds to County Wexford's Slieve Bui, or Yellow Mountain, spelt Sleeve Boy in English. Derek Dian's Gohach holds down the fort at Shi Cleita, which could be connected to County Down's Kilcleita, or Killif, meaning Church of Wattle. And just so we're clear, that's wattle as in the building material. Killif is now home to a modern-ish castle, so it's not unreasonable to think the site was also used anciently. Now, a lot of the members of the Tuatha Dé Danann I just mentioned, especially the lesser-known ones, come from the story Altrum Tiga Da Mater, the fosterage of the houses of the two drinking vessels. But notably absent from that story is Anu. Anu, the mother of the Irish gods, according to Cormac's glossary, doesn't have a she, but she does have a celebrated set of mountains in County Kerry called Da Cig Annan, or the Paps of Anu. Granted, if you consider Anu to be a component aspect of a triple deity, the Great Queen of the Tuatha Dé Danann, the Morrigan perhaps, there's more to the story. Whether or not you should believe that is a topic for another video. The Morrigan, Irish goddess of fate and battle, is sometimes depicted as a resident of County Roscommon Normans, Rock Cruachan, or Fort of Cruachan. Specifically, the Morrigan is known to emerge from and retreat to the Cave of Cruachan, aka Onagat's Cave, or the Cave of Cats. Chronologically, the Morrigan's cave crawling occurs in Irish mythology's Ulster cycle, which comes after the mythological cycle, the one where the Tuatha Dé Danann are often the stars of the show. And in an even later cycle of Irish mythology, the Fenian cycle, there are more allusions to the Tuatha Dé Danann emerging from hills and mounds. In the Pursuit of Diarmid and Grania, for example, we get a list of the, quote, noblest and proudest of the Tuatha Dé Danann, most of whom I'd never heard of. These include the three maces of Slieve Lucra. Slieve Lucra meaning a mountain of rushes, although it's actually a collection of mountains situated along the borders of counties Cork, Kerry, and Limerick. The three garbs of Slieve Mish, the Slieve Mish Mountains in County Kerry. Not to be confused with St. Patrick's legendary stomping grounds, Sleamish, the hill in County Antrim, which in Irish is also called Slieve Mish. The three Skalls of Brú, that's Brunaboyna in County Meath. The three Ronins of Athnuri, that's the Ford of the Kings, now Athenry, in County Galway. The three Connells of Colliman. My best guess here is that Colliman is synonymous with Collomain, a site east of Bantry in County Cork that includes a stone circle, a stone row, burial grounds, and many other ancient features. The three Owens from As Rua Mac Badern. That's the same waterfall as As Earua in County Donegal. The three Ochids of Anya. I'm assuming that's County Limerick's Knock Anya. Although to be fair, there's another Knock Anya near Teelin in County Donegal. There's also Dún Anya, or the Fortress of Anya, now known as Dunany in County Louth. Lis Anya, or the Ringfort of Anya, now known as Lisson in County Derry, and Tober Anya, or the Well of Anya, now known as Toberana in County Tyrone. But I digress. The three Finns of Finmer and Figmen of Finmer. My detective skills tell me Finmer could be linked to the townland Finner Moor in County Clare. It's the site of a burial ground and a holy well. The five sons of Fionn from She Cairn Cain. The Hill of the Gentle Cairn, or Smooth Cairn. This is a tricky one. See, there's this place called Carnmean near Newry in County Down. Patrick Weston Joyce asserted that the name comes from the Irish Carn Min, smooth Cairn. Granted, I've also seen Carnmean's Irish name listed as Ancormean, which translates to something like the smooth or round erratic like a glacial erratic. This sort of makes sense given that Carnmean boasts a collection of ancient standing stones, but the site also features several raths, including one some 40 meters or 131 feet across that sits on a prominent exposed hilltop. As for the Gins of Mabria, their home turf is indisputably one fine plain. That's what Mabria means. It stretches across counties Meath, Louth, and Dublin. There's Calla Crincosach from Burn and Eel, or the Devil's Bit, which lies on the south side of County Tipperary's Slieve Evelyn, or Slieve Felham Mountains. And we can't forget Sorgach Sork from Linon, aka Linon Kinmara, the valley at the head of the sea, which is on the southern shore of County Galway's Killary Harbour. Now, for the Dons. We've got a Don from the Fairy Mound in Breg, which could be Tara, but given the use of the term Fairy Mound is more likely she in Brugga or Newgrange. Both sites were once part of the Kingdom of Brega, and today both are in County Meath. We've got a Don from the island, which definitely sounds like a reference to the Irish death god Dawn, or as I like to call him, Dawn of the Dead. He runs Tech Duinn, House of Dawn, the island-based checkpoint for Ireland's recently deceased. These days it is possible for living people to visit Tech Duinn, which is now known as Bull Rock. It's off the coast of the Beara Peninsula in County Cork. There's also Dawn of Knocknanus, the Hill of the Fawns. It was easy enough to find this one on a map, so easy in fact that I found two, in the same county no less, Cork. Smart Money says this hill corresponds to the more inland and well-known Knocknanus in the barony of Dunhallow, site of the infamous 1647 Battle of Knocknanus, which was fought as part of the Irish Confederate Wars, which had kicked off a few years earlier with the Irish Rebellion of 1641. The Knocknanus closer to the coast in the barony of East Carberry just looks a lot flatter to me. Like, where's the actual knock or hill? Unless, yep, oh, okay, there it is. Look, I'm just gonna keep both. For the grand Dawn finale, there's Dawn of Lennock, or Len Hill. This is likely a reference to County Kildare's Knock Alinya, or Knockalin, site of an ancient Gaelic dune or fort. Indeed, Dún Alinya is believed to be the inauguration location of Leinster's kings. And with that, we've officially hit Irish royal sites bingo. So we've got Dúnalinne, royal seat of power of the kingdom, now province of Leinster. Awenmacha, or Navan Fort, is the Ulster equivalent. Rachruhan was the seat of the kings of Connacht, and She Drim, or the Rock of Cashel, was the royal seat in Munster. Here we have the 4 provinces of Ireland, and arguably their 4 most important ancient sites. What about Meath? I can hear you shouting. Yes, traditionally Meath is Ireland's 5th province, and its ceremonial hilltop spot, Tara, wasn't just the royal seat of the kings of Meath, but the royal seat of the High Kings of Ireland. And that's why it's such a big deal when, in the Fenian cycle, the hero Fionn Machul shows up in Tara with an enchanted spear and defeats a fire-breathing monster that would emerge from a cave every Samhain and burn everything down. Sorry, I don't know what that was. So, the monster. Nickname, the Burner. Real name, Alain Macmijna. Home base, She Finnachid. Yes, Alain is Lear's flatmate, she-mate, and the brother of Anya. Although that might be a different Alain. Regardless, this monstrous, destructive creature, this scourge, is a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. From the mythological cycle, through the Ulster cycle, to the Fenian cycle, the Tuatha Dé Danann are reduced from Ireland's divine saviors to Ireland's resentful, hill-dwelling, nasty little creatures. People stop calling them by their divine names and start calling them by the holes they crawl out of. She. This is how the Irish gods and goddesses devolved into the East She, or Doine She, the people of the hills, aka the other crowd, aka the fairy folk, aka the fairies. This is how we get the queen of prophetic screams, the Banshee, whose name means woman of the hills. This is how we get the Lannan She, the fairy familiar, or fairy lover. This is how the Dagda's son, Finvara of Knockma, transforms from a prince of the Tuatha Dé Danann to the fairy king of Connacht, who, in one Irish folktale, makes a guy dance all night with dead spirits on Samhain until he passes out. This is how we get the leprechaun, or Lugh Croman, little stooping Lugh, as in the god Lugh. Or at least that's one contested etymology. And yes, this is how Lear's roommate, Alain Macmijna, goes from friend to fire-breathing foe. To quote W.B. Yeats, the pagan gods of Ireland, the Tuatha Dé Danann, robbed of worship and offerings, grew smaller and smaller in the popular imagination until they turned into the fairies. End quote. As for the hills and subterranean dwellings associated with these fairies, they are reimagined as portals to the fairy otherworld. While Manannán Mac Lear's island otherworld is only reachable by boat and enchanted horses and chariots that can ride over water, the fairy otherworld is unique in that it has physical entrances and exits on the island of Ireland. So here it is, your Irish god map, which doubles as a map of entrances to the fairy otherworld. I'm going to put this finished graphic over on irishmyths.com where you can download it for free. What am I doing with my hands? If you want to support the channel, please grab a copy of my book, Samhain. In your pocket, a tiny little book about the Celtic origins of Halloween. Like, subscribe, go check out my other channel, Folklore and Film, where I just did a video on the Irish folklore in Sinners that everyone missed. As always, my name is I.E. Kneverday. Thanks for coming out.